Interesting development is taking place in the world today. Friends, we're going to spend some time talking about the JFK assassination files that have been released. And this is a huge discussion on the media today.
We are tomorrow announcing and giving all of the Kennedy files. So people have been waiting for decades for this. And I've instructed my people that are responsible, lots of different people, put together by Tulsi Gabbard, and that's going to be released tomorrow.
So is there any truth to some of these things that's been released? Are there any new information? Who is really responsible? Will there be any accountability? Why has it taken so long for them to release this? Is there more to the story that the media will not dare to touch? Breaking news, thousands of JFK files released fulfilling Trump's promise.
And this is a tribute in honor of Bobby. I am announcing tonight that upon my election, I will establish a new independent presidential commission on assassination attempts. And they will be tasked with releasing all of the remaining documents pertaining to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. And they will also conduct a rigorous review of the attack last month. But I tell you, I have never had more people ask me, please, sir, release the documents on the Kennedy assassination. And we're going to do that.
According to the National Archives, here are the documents that Trump had promised to release regarding the JFK files. Let me pull these things up for you to share a few things very quickly here. When you go down there, so here are all the PDFs format of that. And if you have the time of the day to go through it and comb to some of this, you will see some things here that are very interesting. One of the questions that was asked is how much new information is in this, because it seems to me most of the stuff that's been released, the conspiracy theorists were already saying these things.
The true win of this day is a symbolic one, and Trump recognizes this, which is why he's so careful in his remarks around the files' release. Trump says he has no idea what's in the files, rather than lauding the contents, of which, by the way, he has been briefed already. He's merely framed this whole thing with, quote, people have been waiting a long time for this release. This is wise, because of course there will be crumbs of new information, I'm sure of it. And I will sit eagerly by my television waiting for Oliver Stone's next film after he pores over today's files. But make no mistake, Trump's full release of the JFK files should be celebrated not because it gave us answers we didn't already know, but because it acknowledges, for the first time, that we did know. We knew from the moment the Warren Commission started silencing witnesses, from the moment Ruby was shot, from the moment they told us one bullet killed Kennedy. We knew. We knew our government is capable of great evil. The only antidote to government evil is transparency. And that, my friends, is what today was all about.
So what's being confirmed by these files are the very things that people already knew, right? But, you know, here is in the next news clip I'm going to share with you. The discussion is about what changes from this point forward, what happens as a result. And I like the following question that's going to be asked is, why did it take so long to release this, right?
Today was the day. Thousands of pages of previously unseen files related to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy were released today. Right now, over 1,100 documents totaling roughly 80,000 pages are visible on the National Archives website. This comes after President Trump's push to release the files, and standing by is a man who knows the history of the assassination well, presidential historian and author James Robinault. What have we learned today, James?
Well, Austin, we learned a lot about the CIA. Most of these documents are CIA-type documents. From their plan to try to assassinate Castro, Operation Mongoose is what it was called. Lots of detail on that. involving mafia figures to help them. It's an incredible story. To Jack Ruby and Oswald being seen in a nightclub, according to a CIA memo weeks before the assassination, to all sorts of discredit on the single bullet theory that the ballistics people thought, that this just didn't happen back when the Warren report came out, to the CIA operation out of Mexico City, and all the intelligence they were gathering on Oswald. So it is a truckload of information. It's going to take weeks to analyze. There are 100-page depositions in it. It truly is a real trove of information that begins to paint a much stronger picture that the CIA knew kind of what was coming and may have been involved in the group out of Miami that was the anti-Castro group that may have been setting up Oswald. So a ton of stuff.
Does this change the official narrative?
I think it will. I mean, I think what we're going to, and as I've said before, this is like a big jigsaw puzzle. And we have a lot of pieces in place. What we didn't know were some of the identities of some of these people, and the CIA documents, everybody's got a code name. So that's going to take a long while for people to unravel. But I think it's going to show that they were very active with the group that was entangled with Oswald in New Orleans in the summer of 1963. And the evidence is starting to look more and more like they were setting up Oswald, and that the anti-Castro group were the people who might have pulled the triggers. So I think there's a lot here to work with, a lot to analyze. And as you know, because of Paul Landis's revelation that he found the bullet in the limousine that you and I have talked about so much, that tends to prove there was an ambush, that there were multiple shooters. This will then start to give us a better idea of who might have been involved.
Yeah, so let's back up on that. So for people that are watching that haven't watched our interviews before, why do you feel it is appropriate to question the actual story, and you know what? I will say this too, by the way. The official version of the story is that Oswald was the lone gunman. So why do you feel like it's fair to question that theory?
Yeah, I think that the main thing is that when Paul Landis found the pristine bullet behind where Kennedy had been sitting and Jackie had been sitting, it showed that that bullet had only gone superficially into his back and that it fell back out. That means that the bullet didn't go through him into Conley, which is the official version. And, one bullet caused all this damage, which nobody ever believed. The problem is Kennedy gets hit, and within a split second, you can see that Conley gets hit. So there's not enough time for Oswald, who has a bold action, to shoot about 3 seconds, load and shoot again to hit Conley. So there had to be multiple shooters. And once we know that, we know that there's a conspiracy. Once we know there's a conspiracy, then the question is who was involved in it. But that evidence is pretty strong that there were multiple shooters.
From what you have seen of the documents, are there redactions?
No, I haven't yet seen any, and I've seen people write who've been through a lot more than I have that they haven't seen them yet. I think they really did take off the redactions. And again, this is going to help put together these pieces of the puzzle, because you have these various people who are identified in Miami, you have the people identified in Mexico City, and now you're starting to put all this stuff together to see what the puzzle looks like once you put those pieces in.
So I got to ask, this is something that you and I have talked about ad nauseum. I mean, the assassination happened in the 60s. Here we are in the 2020s now talking about this. Why did it take so long for these documents to be released?
I think the answer to that is that when the Warren report came out, President Johnson and Hoover in particular were very much trying to end the controversy and not spark World War III. They were worried that this was going to be blamed on the Cubans. They were worried it was going to be blamed on the Russians, and they were not willing to risk nuclear war over all of this. So they very much pushed the Warren Commission to get it done, blame it on one person. And at that point, the Warren Commission came out with a report that started to fall apart almost right away, but a lot of people still hung on to it. And the only reason that it's taken all these years is that the CIA convinced president after president that there were still people alive, there were still operations that they needed to protect. And it's only really in the last year that we finally have somebody saying, well, enough of that. Let's see all of it. It cannot be that we are going to destroy people or operations 60 years later. But it's going to be embarrassing, which it is, to the CIA.
Anyway, friends, I'm really interested to see what you think about this situation and how much of a connection that there is to Bible prophecy as well. Interestingly enough, one thing that stood out about JFK as the first Catholic president who believed in a separation of church and state, where he says no Catholic prelate will tell the president should he be Catholic or how to act. No Protestant ministers will tell his parishioners for whom to vote. Some people believe this was the speech that got him in hot water, if you know what I mean. But there's a lot more to that story. This is a video I want to quickly walk through with you that I found very interesting, because people are pointing out that this looks like this Secret Service agent was giving a stand down orders just a few minutes before JFK was unalived. You know what I mean? So, okay, so if you are watching this video, let me turn the volume down. So watch very carefully what's going on here. And as you follow the pattern, he is following right in the back of the car. So he must have gotten some information, either from the guy. So the question is, did the guy, this other service agent posing here, told him to stand down, or did he get a call or anything like that? It doesn't seem like it, but the fact he changed his mind right around here found to be very interesting. It's almost like he is wondering, why is that? Why do I need to stand down, right? So watch again very carefully. Yeah, so he must have gotten some orders. So it does make sense why people are questioning the official narrative for a number of reasons. Like, it seems like this was a well orchestrated plan. And again, to the credit of President Trump, he did release them. Why did it take so long? It's a whole nother question. There's a lot involved in this. And one thing, like you've heard in the news clip, is there were multiple shooters. And that is different than what most of us thought, right? But again, if you were to go listen to the conspiracy theorists, they were already saying that. So the story behind Lee Harvey Oswald, this one man, and even the way he himself died, and it's very interesting stuff going on here.
The term conspiracy theory itself and conspiracy theorist was invented by the CIA and used and pushed through their media plants to discredit anybody who questioned the results of the original JFK investigation. And again, it gets to this thing, I set aside whether or not there was a second shooter, whether there was anyone on the grassy knoll. Let's say that the official story really is accurate. It's pretty extraordinary that conspiracy theorists are themselves literally terms born of a government conspiracy. It makes you wonder. People say, well, sure, the CIA had 30 media assets back then, including national news anchors. But I mean, that's not how it is today.
Yeah, right.
Is it? Is it?
In Section K of the archive speaks about the CIA having exploitable access to enter certain archives and places. We are told students, teachers, and Jewish and professional classes, international contact with labor organizations, and members of the Catholic Church will be utilized. Okay, all right, we're going to move on from there. But here is another piece that I thought was also very interesting in the files. The day after the assassination speaks about Gary Underhill left Washington, D.C. in a hurry, left in the morning, and he showed up at the home of friends in New Jersey. He was very agitated. A small clique within the CIA was responsible for the assassination, he confided. and he was afraid for his life and probably will have to leave the country. And we are told just about 6 months later, he was found bang to death in a Washington apartment. Boy.
What we're looking at is we're looking at an organization, the CIA, that is so rogue. The CIA is the fourth branch of government. The deep state is what forms around the CIA, and the CIA has infiltrated the White House. They've infiltrated every single staff in the House and the Congress. So when Miss Luna and other members of like the HIPSI or the SISI or the SASC or the HASC or the HAC or the SAC, all these different acronyms, right? Inside of those organizations, inside of those staffs, in the legislative branch, never mind in the judicial branch, there are elements of the intelligence community that have been in there for a long, long time. They just flow in and out, and some of them are what they call legacy people. So we've got to take this very seriously. This is not, finally the JFK things are, the files are released, and then, Sunday night or Saturday night, we're bombing the Houthis again, and everybody forgets about the JFK files. An organization of the United States government called the Central Intelligence Agency committed what we now know, this act of criminal conspiracy to not just undermine a president of the United States, but to assassinate a president of the United States. We have got to accept that or not. People can say, but I accept that. So now it is, what are we going to do about it? So maybe we waited, whatever it is, 75 years or something. I'm not a math major, but we waited this long. Okay. So these people are all dead and gone. Underhill supposedly put a bullet behind his head and committed suicide. What is going to happen? Accountability. Everybody is held to account. Children are held to account by their parents. We hold the people accountable for all kinds of crimes in this country.
In today's video, I'm just going to make references to a number of things. I'm not going to tell you so much my opinion. I'm going to say you need to look a little bit deeper into this, right? We do have a video on my channel where we spoke about the Jesuits and their assassination. But again, making some connection, asking some questions. We being curious here. There is another document that I will highly recommend. I'm going to put a link right up there. You can go check it out. The History of the Jesuits, James Arabito, full lecture. You want to take a listen to that. I will also recommend 50 Years in the Church of Rome. Yes, the conversion of Catholic priests. Charles Chiniquet. This is an eye opener as well. Last but not least, there is another document. I'm going to link it in the description. The old Catholic plot against JFK. So that's going to be in the description. I'm going to make sure I remember to put that there. So what is going on, friends? Bible prophecy is being fulfilled. Certain things are happening. The eyes of the people are being opened. But again, it was Winston Churchill who once said, the farther backward you can look, the farther forward you can see. It's like, isn't what the Bible says? Ecclesiastes 1 verse 9. For that which has been is now, that which is to be has already been, and God requireth that which is past. So will we ever get to the truths of these situations and what exactly happened when it comes to JFK files? I think what's been released is being released at the appropriate time. Talking about years after the fact, well over 60-something years, most of the individuals who could have been held accountable have now given up the ghost. So how could we ever get to the truth in this way? And if you fail to look at the religious elements and some of the connection that there is with the Jesuits order, you may never come to the point where you can actually see the level of espionage and corruption that is behind the scene when it comes to that. But I'll tell you one thing that is true. This much I know. Luke chapter 12, verse 2, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be made known. Now, the question is it only in this world or in the world to come, in the judgment? How much more is yet to be exposed? But I think we are living in a time when certain things are happening for the sake of truth to take a stand, and so that the sins of Babylon will be laid open, that the eyes of the people might be open to the truth of the word of God. In the same way, Christ must be lifted up and the truth must conquer hearts in the midst of all opposition. Anyway, friends, I have a lot more that I can speak about when it comes to this story, but I think it's best we end it for now. Let's have the conversation in the comment below. As I discover a little bit more of the information, I will share it with you, but I highly doubt we're going to get any more than what we already got. But like I said, go back to those references that I've given you. Go back to those books and go read the historical analysis and going back to the scripture and aligning it with Bible prophecy. You will begin to see a number of amazing things happen. Anyway, friends, thank you for listening. Share your thought and perspective with me. Let's have the conversation in the comment below. Like and subscribe to the page. Click the bell icon for more. And I'll see you on the next one. Have a good one. Bye.